Peace, 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 y'all. This is Empress Coach Rena Nicole, and this is my dad. This is the AM Inspiration Show. So wake that ass up. The one and only original and authentic content, often imitated, never duplicated. Period. Okay. Today the topic is about personal values. Okay. Now, we're going to talk about the power of personal values today. Keep in mind, we are streaming live from Facebook, YouTube, Clubhouse, Spoon, Twitter, Google. Yes, Google Podcasts as well. And also, we are going to get right back into this topic. Give y'all another 45 seconds and let's get it. Okay. Yes, so I'm super excited about this topic today. A topic that needed to be had, that needed to been had already, and we're definitely going to talk about core values today. If you don't know what a core value is, how to establish your core, how to connect to your core values, then we're going to give you all the tools you need today, because this podcast is about waking your ass up consciously, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, financially, soulfully, metaphysically, and even, that's just what it's about, period. Okay? No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So if that's what you're into, developing yourself, raising your energy, doing better, then this is the podcast for you. If not, then it's not, period. Okay? Listen, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Okay? So now, when we think about the importance of ensuring our live values, um, or matching our core values, and the power of them is like, because life can be extremely beautiful, chaotic, or even overwhelming, and everything is transient, right? Because it's in human nature to actually gravitate towards the things that go with the status quo or anchor us into familiarity. Okay, so what do I mean when I say that? Because literally the constant ebb and flow of this existence can be extremely exhausting, okay, to some people. But the one thing that remains constant and consistent is our choosing values that we live by, right? Because they're often identifiable as qualities of the person, that we may have been brought up by, that we admire, that we're inspired by. And when we live in them authentically, they serve as a rudder steering us to make wise choices in this existence, right? Okay. Now, of course, people have some values that are fucked up, excuse my language, that are messed up, okay? And to steer them to do things they think may be right, but they're just like, as a collective conscious thing, maybe like, not so much, okay? Um, by the laws of nature and the laws of the universe that be created, by man, whatever you want to talk, put it in the category of, it's just completely, what the heck? Why would you do that? Okay, so there's a lot of power in having values to live by. A lot of people's values fluctuate because they only go by if this person that I admire, or this person is popular, or this person is a celebrity, whatever, they say these things, I just automatically believe them. So that's the values that I want to have in my life, because I have never taken the time to establish boundaries or core values that I actually really want to live by. So it's most of those people are always um out magnetizing, looking for someone to copy, to what is the word I'm looking for? Love bomb. Imitate the like, oh, this is how I am too, just so you can like me. And then, their masks come off and then you see what their values really lie in, and it's really not the pretty stuff that you think it is. Now, in order to be at peace within your existence, we must live in a state of balance and mayat within our own deeply held beliefs, because that demonstrates the values that we definitely believe in, and makes us up as a truly, healthy person, balanced person, and things of that nature. Okay, because literally, if we compromise the values we hold dear, we compromise our inner peace, right? Listen, that's why a lot of people are living in chaos, because they're compromising themselves just to go along and get along, right? Um, our core values is definitely our core values that project project us to question deeply ingrained cultural or social rules, right? And we come to a realization of, this is the way to do it, or this is the way not to do it. And it actually gives us strength of character when we look inside ourselves and accept that just because it's always been a certain way doesn't mean that it's right for us or that it's appropriate for us, right? Okay. Because that's really, really addressing and align it up with your personal values and creating a fulfilling life. Okay? That's what that's about. So when you're really becoming like in that way of like, okay, this is how I I interact with other people, because you're defining your core values, right? And you're recognizing them, and you're like, okay, this is how, this is why, because they're literally like a guiding, like some people say they have spirit guides and stuff like that. They're guiding light throughout your existence, okay? And they set the bar for high standards of behavior from both other people and yourself, okay? So when you stay true to those principles, it's literally you being in alignment. It's literally you being in alignment with your true self and being authentic with yourself. And that's extremely paramount for your well-being. I remember I remember me, I use the word authentic a lot. And I was like, someone called themselves gaslighting me the other day, like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I love authentic black women. Like, this person probably never even used that word in their life. And it was just so funny to me, because it's like they were trying anything and everything to grasp at straws to try to offend me, when I was never offended. You know what I'm saying? It was almost as, look, I see you paying attention. I remember this statement from Nicki Minaj is like, it's people that come to my stuff and listen to my podcast every single day, and they don't like me, and you're sick. That's a sick person, right? Because it's like, what is in your right mind to make you feel like that? Because how I'm living my existence, you feel bothered, so that means you have to attack me because I'm not paying you any attention. That's crazy. You know, um, a lot of people don't know what their core values are, so they seek out people. And when people don't pay them any mind, people are not celebrating them, people are not paying them no attention. They do things because they feel like, oh, well, I'm going to make this person suffer. Or, oh, I'm going to make it hard for this person to succeed. Or, oh, I'm going to make sure I'm in the spotlight and they're not in the spotlight. Or, I'm going to make sure they fail. Or, I'm going to try to make them fail. You gotta be kidding me. Um, you gotta you're gonna make them fail, or try to do these things to make them. So it's always interesting. It's always interesting when you are seeing how other people are reacting to your core values. Like, if you're showing up as yourself authentically and they're always angry at you for it. You're aligning with your personal values and you're not changing your thought processes to be aligned with them, and they're always upset or over emotional about the fact that you won't change who you are to please them or appease them, okay? Period. That's all it is. Um boils down to you not changing who you are to make them happy. Okay? So you have to recognize that, right? Whew. So there's a lot of like values. There's a lot of values that's out there. There's so many different values, and there's a personal assessment test that's free, and I'll post the link into the StreamYard, and hopefully y'all get to see it. And I'll post the link onto the Clubhouse app. And hopefully y'all get to take the assessment when you want to take it. You know what I mean? That's up to you. So let's get into a deeper conversation on what exactly are core values, because I know I touched the surface a little bit and I didn't get deep into it, but it's time to jump into those deep, deep waters like Scorpios love to do. Time to swim, baby. Dun, dun, dun. Now, core values are the fundamental principles or physiological beliefs by which we live our existence, okay? They are the great qualities in the person who we may have admire, and therefore the ones we aim to also live by, okay? So while they definitely look different from each person to person, mostly all of us have values, okay? And the most heinous criminals often place enormous values on things like loyalty, okay, if little to anything else, okay? So they got some type of value too. That's crazy, right? Um, Literally, our principles form us of the ways we conduct ourselves, right, and treat other people. And that's what I mean by like a lot of people are misaligned with their values because they feel like that um they can do whatever they want to do to people, and people need to stay at the standard in which they think people are supposed to live by. They don't feel like people should step outside of the standard of what they think is morally correct. They think that their standard, their cores, and their values are the all to be all, and all people should operate that way. No matter their culture and backgrounds, they should always respect them. They should always move like how they move or show how they want them to show up. And if they don't, then they're problematic. Period. Because the things that literally people choose to prioritize each day, like daily, right? The ideals we aspire to, it literally form the most significant um things we live by, like the laws of my yacht. That's something like that would be core values, right? So that's something that people will live by daily, right? And the significant rules upon which we rely to navigate us through this existence, right? Period. Okay. Now, it's natural that all the values may differ from each other, right? And a lot of people, they may or may not share common values, but that's where the story get a little twisted and a little messed up, because just because you share a few values with someone doesn't mean you're in perfect harmony with them, okay? Just because you may have some values in common doesn't mean you're compatible, okay? Um, and people don't understand that, like sometimes you may feel like, oh, I'm vibing with this person for a long time, and then you start to see a pattern of behavior that doesn't align with who you are, so you pull away. A lot of times people misconstrue that with, oh, this person switched up on me, they were fake, they were corny, they weren't loyal, they're not trusting, because maybe they saw something in you and your behavior that they realized did not align with their core values, that they realized was more of a liability and they didn't want to be associated with that. Okay. And that's definitely where that incompatibility comes in, and it causes a rift between people because they are showing up in a big giant way where he's like, oh my God, no, 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 this is not going to work out for me. This relationship, this friendship, this job, whatever. It's just not for me because this is not aligning with who I am as a person to the core of my being, my beliefs, and the way I want to live my existence. Period. Okay. You know, when people are aligned with their principles, okay, they know what their core values are, okay, and they definitely make a choice like this is who I am, this is who I aspire to be, I know my sacrosancts, my non-negotiables, my unbreakables, and my unshakables. Period. Point blank. Period. You're not gonna be able to shake me from that because that's who I am. So people like, oh, so that if that doesn't give you a gist on why our core values are extremely important for living a fulfilled life, okay? Because living according to what we deem to be balanced, it's to live in a way that we deem to be ethical, okay? Now we're speaking on integrity, right? Period. Okay, let's get deeper into this hole because the rabbit hole goes deep, okay? It goes really, really deep because ethics, integrity are things with, you know, that comes into the play of the things we were just speaking on, like principles and values. You had to have like an ethic, it's like a certain creed you live by. I know you haven't heard creed since the King of Comedies. Like, what? I live by a certain creed. Wow. Okay. So literally, when you're living ethically, is literally what provides you with your deepest sense of self acceptance, self esteem, and self worth because it enables you to get out of bed, and it enables you to be confident that you have done the thing that aligns you most in this life to make you feel like you're doing something in the direction you need to be going in. I don't like using words like, oh, you're doing something right or wrong. And I know people like to hear words like that because they want to be validated. But at this point in this podcast, it's time to start validating yourself, brother or sisters. Period. Not here to validate you. We here to wake that ass up spiritually, consciously, emotionally, physically, financially, period. Yes. Okay. So, when you think of like, damn, I'm doing all these things and I feel good about it. I feel good about it. And I feel like I'm doing the right thing. So that's what I'm doing, the right thing. Period. Okay. So keep that in mind that when you're doing those things that align with yourself and you're like, okay, this literally impacts my existence, okay? And it gives me a deeper sense of how meaningful that I see, my life flowing with the ebb and flow that we talked about in the beginning, the ebb and flow of this existence, right? And it's literally like when you had a desire um to be happy or to be content, you practice compassion. If you desire to be happy and content, practice compassion. Period. So at the end of the day, that's from the Dalai Lama, right? So at the end of the day, you literally have to have that continuation of practicing who you are and who you want to be and actually projecting it out to other people. The issue falls in that people want to practice who they want to be, but they don't want to treat people the same way that they practice how they want to be treated. Okay? They walk around with the sense of grandiose, the sense of entitlement, all these senses, but they're so misaligned with who they truly are. Okay? So, period. Yeah, so getting right back into it, Literally, like when you're behaving in a way that may compromise your values or that you may consider will be immoral, and it definitely will compromise the way you see yourself, and it will turn into something that's extremely low vibrational, and that self-talk, that's when self-talk starts getting really really low, and it can get to a level of toxicity, you know, because there's so many different levels of self-talk and different things of that nature, that when you're continuing to not live in harmony with who you are, your self-talk starts to switch from high vibration, you know, like knowing that you're, you know, talking to yourself, know that you're living in alignment with your true self and things of that nature. And then you start realizing that now you're not living in alignment with your true self, and you are saying things to yourself that's not true. You're believing things that's not true, and you're in misalignment with yourself. So you may say things to yourself that are like extremely low, like, oh, trigger warning, like, oh, I'm stupid, oh, I'm slow, or, you know, nobody loves me, things that are not true. And you start to believe them. Point blank period. Yep. So you really, really, really need to gauge on how you respond to yourself, how you respond to other people, how you take things in, because negative self talk is very self effacing. And it definitely affects every area of your life. And it's not a good thing. It's just not. There's nothing good about it. It's nothing, there's no way to justify it. There's no way to deflect it. There's no way to make it sound good. It's just no way for that. You know, when you're in that point of negative self-talk and self-effacing behaviors and that low vibration of not being aligned with who you truly are, with your core values, then you're in a place of defeat. You're in a place of illness, not wellness. So this is why it's important to know what your core values are and stay aligned with them. Because if anyone can move you from your square, then the values that you believe are your core values may not be your core values. They may not be the things you're really aligned with. It may be like surface level or superficial because someone else told you that it was the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. And this is where I want to use those words at. It may be the right or wrong thing to someone else, but it really doesn't align with who you are. So you're not really committed to being this way. You're not really committed to living this way. You know, you don't feel no connectivity to elevating in that certain type of way because it's not really who you are, period. And it's really just like that at the end of the day. You know, so the great thing about that is that you can take stock in who you are. You can assess your personal and your core values. You can take stock in your personal and core values. You can do assessments and different things of that nature. You can reevaluate. You can do a lot of things in the wellness field to realign with who you are, to find your purpose and your principles and things of that nature. Because let me tell you, like I said before, a lot of people have a lot of things in common, but nobody has all the same values, even in the same family, you know. And we all know that from family. From family, that's one thing we all know and recognize, that nobody in the same household has all the same values. You know, they just don't. You know, it may seem that way, but most of the time when people age out or they become an adult and they get a chance to get away from the family or even be in school, it's like your values shift, your principles start to shift, and then it becomes problematic for the home because it's like certain people want their family to align with the way they were raised. They want them to stick to what they know, and they feel like, oh, this is a problem for us because this is not who you are, this is not who we raised you to be, instead of allowing someone to discover who they are on their own. Okay, I don't know if y'all can hear me out there. Period. You know, now, you know, you really have to keep that in mind because a lot of people are not self-aware enough to discover who they are, why they are. and who they came to be basically at the end of the day. So keep that really, 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 really keep that in mind, because when you are developing values, that's literally what you're doing when you're developing or discovering your core values. Once you become an adult, it's going to be a task of literally like, oh, almost like a checklist. Like, nope, don't feel like, it's a thing that I love to say, like in the Journey to Self Love book, that I wrote a long, long time ago. And it's like, if it feels wrong, don't do it. Literally, that's a core value right there. That's a literally like, if it feels wrong, do not do it. No is a complete sentence. So literally, those two statements are alignment with each other. That's like the yin and the yang. Literally, like, no is a complete sentence. If it feels wrong, don't do it. Period. Okay. So those personal values, some people call them personal values, core values. It's all the same thing. Okay. So, and like I said, I don't like using words like good or bad or right or wrong, because they are too leading. Like, they're very leading, because good and bad and right and wrong are subjective to the user. Unfortunately, even though we have laws of the land, that a lot of us, believe, which are generally uh in the eyes of the law, good or bad or right or wrong. And that's okay. But I'm talking about personal things, like, we can't say, oh, no, you can't believe that because that's wrong. But literally, it's only wrong to you. It's not wrong to them, because that's their beliefs. Even if you feel like that's the most horrible thing in the world, if that makes any sense at all, unfortunately. But some people just don't get that, because they're too, like, they're not really flexible in their open-mindedness to understand that their standards just belong solely to them and nobody else. Okay. Yeah, and it's really just like that. So right now I am getting the tool to post it in the comments, the personal values assessment, because we're almost done here, and I want to make sure y'all have all the information y'all need. I'm about to come and see. Yeah, I just want to make sure y'all have all the information y'all need, and you can actually take the test and stuff like that, and benefit from it. I've been using this assessment for years, and now it's like, okay, now when I need to find that, I can't. I got it, guys. So literally, it's if you're listening and you don't, you're not looking at the link or anything. It's literally personal value. So that's personal. The word personal. The word VALU.ES. That's literally the website. That's it. And yeah, it's no .com or anything like that. It's literally what I just said out loud. That's literally what the thing is. So right now, let me put it into the YouTube chat so people can have it, and they'll get this message on each of our things that we're streaming live from. And I'll also, it's already on Clubhouse already, like a million billion times for any room that I've done, because we always are speaking on this topic. Because without literally aligning yourself with value, then how can you be valuable? Period. Okay. A lot of people want to speak on high values when they're not even aligned with core values. That's just like the most asinine thing I've ever heard of. You hear these people talk down on people, judge people, criticize people all day long, and then they want to talk about how they're a high quality, a high value person, and they have no integrity. They have no morals that they're following. And if they, but well, like I said, everyone has these things, right? Everyone has these things, right? But it's just, to us, it's like, oh, that's the worst of the worst. I would never want to be aligned with something like that. So it's literally it falls back in line when people show you who they are, by their behavior. Then you get to see their values. You get to see that they don't value communication. You can get to see they don't value effective communication. You can see that they don't value harmony and peace. If they're always trying to bring drama, they're always trying to stir something up. If they're always trying to, people show you how jealous they are. They show you their envy. They show you that they are intimidated. That's their fear when they act out by saying things to you or undermining you or sneak dissing you. That's all their fear that they're projecting out there. It has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with you and everything to do with them, because they're not able to communicate properly. They're not able to address you, so they project their fear and their limited values out there in the world, and they want to attack you because you're doing something they're not doing, and they can't align with that. You're doing something that they cannot do, and they are frustrated because they felt like they had you down. They felt like you lost. You weren't the center of attention anymore. They took something away from you, and you're still shining bright like the brightest star in the galaxy, and they can't take that. You know, you know, a lot of um, a lot of people don't understand that when you have those values that are in alignment, you can work with other people to change the world into a better place, right? Because it's like a simple fact, like we literally just talked about how we all were brought up in households by rules and regulations. It's literally indoctrination and programming from our parents, right? And they want us to conform to whatever they feel like is the best choice of society construct, like how society is constructed up as. Not saying we are listening, not saying we're not listening. I'm just saying that that's how parents think. Like, this is what I want my children to grow up to be, these type of people. This is what I'm going to instill in them. They ain't gonna say this is what I'm indoctrinating into my children. This is what I'm going to program into them. But literally, that's what we're doing. Okay, and it reflects culture, environment, and different things of that nature. Whether it is literally all to survive, to help them, teach them how to survive, right? And is for the parents out there teaching their children how to thrive and live, kudos to you. Period. But just because we're teaching children things or different things in a household, the program and indoctrination, it doesn't mean that it's in alignment with their core values. It doesn't mean that they're going to stay in those values they were taught, because to them it may be outdated, it may be intolerant, and it can be harmful to the person that they have developed into. Okay, and but when we are in alignment in a healthy way, and you can have an attitude, or you can have like this position where it's easy to go out into society and help other people, and it's easy to connect with them, and identify their needs that's aligned with needs that you are familiar with. Okay, that brings back into that word familiarity back into the conversation. Okay, because um it's not just a fact, right? But it's like a widely held attitude to the detriment of the parent and the child. Is like the motion that one of the things is like, oh well, men should be strong and hide their feelings, and women need to be strong for a man. Wow. It is like, okay, or women are crazy. It's just a lot of asinine things that people say that they actually believe. And that's okay. It might not be asinine to them. Okay? It may not be. That's okay. Um, it's almost like people, their core beliefs takes away from people being human. It takes away from that experience of being human. It's like, oh, I believe that you should be this way. I believe that people should be that way. And it's like, okay, when do we get to be a human though? Did that happen anytime in that 24 hour period that I can just show up as myself authentically, and you really try not to give a fuck about what I'm doing? That's not a thing for a lot of people. That's why I said they're misaligned with values, because they feel like their values is all values. People are not allowed to show up as themselves, because when you show up as yourself, they feel threatened. They feel like you're coming against them because you're showing up as who you are, and whatever they doing, it's not bothering you. You're not bothered by it. You're going to continue to walk in your righteous truth. You're going to continue to do things that expand your existence. You're going to continue to connect with people that you know um expand your life and different things of that nature, right? So, with that being said, we have definitely, the most definitely run out of time, y'all. We have ran out of time. We are definitely going to jump back into tomorrow on the next episode of the AM Inspiration Show to wake that ass up. We're going to definitely jump back into the power of core values, period. With that being said, I am your host, Empress, Coach Rena Nicole of Divine Intervention Show, Sustainable Relationships, The Love Experiences, The Curve.net, and RenaNicole.com. With that being said, please keep in mind that we have streamed live from all social networks. So you can look us up by the name Divine Intervention Show, AM Inspiration Show, to wake that ass up, because we are the one, the only, the original 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time slot, period. With that being said, I will catch y'all tomorrow. Take care.